Hello and welcome to the big picture. The Augusta Westland VVIP helicopter deal, which turned out to be a non-deal after India cancelled the contract in 2014, is once again back to haunt the political establishment. An Italian court reversed an earlier order concerning corruption and falsification of invoices by two Finmeccanica executives earlier this month. This order is being seen in certain quarters also as having certain evidence of bribe taking by some Indian officials and politicians. The parliament, especially the Rajya Sabha, has witnessed noisy scenes with the ruling party charging the Congress leadership of involvement, while the Congress leadership has strongly denied any involvement and has sought hastening of the probe by the CBI and ED, which is going on. The deal, which involved supply of 12 VVIP helicopters worth over rupees 3,700 crores, is said to have involved bribes of over rupees 250 crores. Is there a clarity now about who and how much bribes were given to whom? And what does this Augusta Westland deal mean now? And where is the controversy heading? We will discuss all this today with Ajay Prasad, former Defence Secretary, Government of India, Dr. Sambit Patra, National Spokesperson, BJP, Mohan Guruswamy, Defence Analyst, Prashant, Bhushan, Advocate, Supreme Court, and Tehsin, Poonawalla, Spokesperson of the Congress Party. Welcome to all of you. Sambit, what is it that you people are saying now? What is it that has happened in this last 24 hours or after that April 7th order of the Italian court, which you people are talking about?
In fact, we people, that means the Bharatiya Janata Party, have been saying the same thing that we had been saying way back in 2013 when the whole expose had come. And we should be reminded of the fact that the expose came because of turmoil in Italy, and thereafter the CAG report was published in India, and the CAG clearly pointed fingers towards the misdoings of the then government, that was the UPA government. Presently, within the last 24 hours or so, when the appellate court in Milan, that is in Italy, heard the whole issue and in fact gave a 225-page judgment, there are certain absolutely important points that we have to remember. Number one, there were two people, in fact, who were involved in all this, including Mr. Orsi, who was the head of the Finmeccanica company. He has been sentenced to 4.5 years of imprisonment, and his former boss for 4 years of imprisonment for having given bribes. So naturally, if the bribe givers have been caught in Italy, the premise is there have to be bribe takers. And in fact, if you would go through the judgment, you would find that in this judgment, at a particular place, they mention that, well, all this deal of Augusta Westland that was going on in India, the bribe would not have been given just to bureaucrats. It's not possible that the politicians would not have been involved.
Is this your contention, or is it there in the order?
See, we have been reading, as far as the order is concerned, parts of the order, though it's in Italian, the parts of the order has been translated by the media people. They are out in most of the newspapers internationally as well as nationally. We are deriving our, as far as my statement is concerned, I'm deriving from that. As
you
far
are
as
deriving from an interpretation of this 225-page judgment, which is in Italian. It has not been translated so far.
No, it has not been translated and presented in the parliament of the country authentically by the government. But that does not mean that it has not been translated. Because the finance minister on record today stated that the government will be presenting it within 8 days. But the media has translated it. Now,
you are going by that media's translation. Okay,
the whole debate is going on the media translation. Naturally, we may further our debates after the 8 days when the government would present probably on the floor of parliament the translated version of the 225-page document. But the concern is what internationally the papers have been speaking is that on page number 193 of this judgment, the mention of Sonia Gandhi ji 4 times appears.
What is the mention?
And the mention is of a particular letter, which was a handwritten letter of the most important middleman, that is Christian Michel, which he had written to Peter Hatke, who was the sales chief of the Augusta Westland in India. And this letter speaks of the fact that this letter says, which is there in the judgment, page 193, that Sonia is the main, Signora Sonia, they say, Signora Sonia is the main driving force behind the deal, and she will no longer fly in the existing Mi-8 choppers. It goes ahead to say that one has to target the people who surround Sonia Gandhi, those meaning the 5 important advisors of Sonia Gandhi, they have been named, and then it goes ahead to say that Ahmed Patel, who is a secretary, political secretary to Sonia Gandhi, is the most important person. Another part of the judgment which reads as to how the distribution of money was done. This is again a handwritten note which in abbreviation states how the money has been distributed amongst the various contenders.
Okay. So you're saying that these were all in a note which is part of the judgment, but this is not the judgment. This is not the order.
No. The order in fact mentions these, and order derives it. I mean, the judgment derives itself.
Actually, we don't
from
know
these
what the
notes.
entire judgment is so far because there is no, authentic translation of it. Poonawalla, you wanted to...
Yes. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Sambit Patra. And the reason I want to thank Dr. Sambit Patra is on your show for the first time the BJP has respected a court order and international court orders. If this is the position of the BJP, then for the record, let us now have you appreciate 4 international court orders on Bofors and a court order in the Delhi High Court on Bofors. No, I need to, and there's a connection. Let me come to the connection, Mr. Girish. The connection is the BJP loves to speculate, come up with conjuncture, and at the end of the day, they get nothing. Bofors, they got nothing. And now you come to the Augusta Westland. Now on your show, now we come to the Augusta Westland. Just like Bofors, there's rumour mongering. Dr. Patra agrees he's not read the judgment. Nobody's translated the judgment. The judgment's not been officially translated. But there's rumour mongering. Rumour mongering to the extent that one of the members of the upper house, the Rajya Sabha, takes the name of a member who's not present in the house, violating the principles of the house. The fact of the matter is, the judgment does not name any Congress leader. The fact of the matter is Dr. Patra's speculation is based on a paper which Mr. Michael has denied in today's Hindu, which Mr. Michael has written to the Prime Minister, asking the Prime Minister to investigate the matter. He would be ready to cooperate with the investigation. The fact of the matter is since May 2014, it is their government. They have done nothing on this. The fact of the matter is suddenly the government of India and the Prime Minister himself, who was so hard-line on the Italian Marines have not been asked to come back to India. The fact of the matter is that beyond speculation and conjuncture, the BJP has nothing but to rumour mongering.
Now, let me get because I don't want it to become a war between you two people. Mohan, how do you look at this entire judgment? Because, we have been discussing these issues in the past also.
You see, very clearly there's a conjecture that, the judge is also conjecturing that it could have been paid, it should have been paid. But what really happens in these international arms businesses is many of the corporate executives themselves are thieves.
Let me
first let me
about
put it
this
in,
order is there a clarity?
Let us talk about
the order.
There's no order which we have seen as yet.
Right.
Okay. We have seen little bits and pieces selectively extracted in different newspapers by different people for their own purposes. So I don't think there's an order for us to base any serious discussion on it. But the judge has conjectured that money was taken and could have been paid to somebody. Now that is sheer conjecture. We don't know. Now all I'm saying is the practice in the being in business for many years and international business executives steal money from their companies saying that we have to pay so-and-so in XYZ countries because this is how business is done. The whole brood of arms dealers who exist in Delhi function on this premise. What the customer probably gets is probably pittance if he gets in. Now, so quite often money is collected and this money is used. In the Swedish deal also, if you remember, there were 2 tracks. One payment went to Social Democrat Party of Sweden itself and one is supposed to have come to India. Now, similar things could have been happened. We don't know. We'll have to wait to see what really comes out of this. But there are 2 tracks of payments here which are interesting. One is the payment to the Tyagi brothers.
Yes.
And that's a small part. That's only about 13 million or something or less, The other track is to this firm represented by Gautam Khaitan and Bagrodia. That seems to be the bigger track. That track is not going anywhere, which nobody is really investigating. Where does that money go?
CBI is supposed to be investigating.
No, not yet.
ED is supposed to be investigating.
No news has come out. Already 4 years have taken place. 3 years, no news has come out. So where that investigation is going, we don't know. Now, everybody is going to a town saying that these 3 Tyagi brothers, Dr. Tyagi, Julie Tyagi and S. Tyagi, are there. Therefore, M. Marshal Tyagi is involved and therefore they are taking his name to the ground. Now, these Tyagi brothers have been in this business much before Shashi Tyagi became Air Marshal. Dr. Tyagi used to be Amitabh Bachchan's secretary in the old days. So he's an old hand in Delhi, and he's a medical doctor, which is how his name comes as Doxa. Doct Saab becomes Doxa. So he's been in this game for a long time. It just happened that Tyagi, who's a cousin of theirs, becomes chief for 2 years. Now, they said that in that 2 years he changed specs, which is all a lie, because I'll tell you what, the helicopter deal was initiated in 1998 by the Vajpayee government. Okay?
By the NDA government, the first NDA government.
By the NDA government. At that time, it got initiated. That was because George Fernandez was going to Siachen every now and then in this small Chetak.
And you were part
Cheetah,
of that government.
Yeah, in the Cheetah helicopters. And the Defense Air Ministry said, no, this is unsafe, that the Raksha Mantri should go in a old small helicopter. We need a bigger helicopter. So they said, okay, let's get a helicopter for it. So ceiling was, Siachen is at 22,000 feet. So you got a ceiling of at least capable of 6,500 meters.
Yeah.
So in that they said the old Russian Mi helicopter, the Russians offered a reconfigured one which will take it to that height. Government said this is an old helicopter designed in the 60s, not safe. So let's get a new one because VVIPs are going to use it. Then came the spec that there was no VVIP helicopter available. So the spec was dropped from 6,000 because Brijesh Mishra said you don't really need, Vajpayee ji is not going to go to 6,000 meters. So you need a good VVIP helicopter. So the ceiling was dropped to 4,500. So this is the first spec change. First spec.
And this happened in the NDA?
It happened. It happened. Sorry. It happened Brijesh Mishra's time in 2003. The spec was changed. Now, this Mr. Doxa Tyagi was also Prime Minister Vajpayee's representative in the Muslim community in Lucknow. He took part in the Lok Sabha campaigns. And he's been an habitué of various parties, including that. So, you know,
what is the point you're trying to make?
The spec was changed then.
Okay.
That was the first spec change. The second time the spec changed was in 2008, when they said choice of 2-engine helicopter or 3-engine helicopter.
That's when Air Marshal Tyagi comes in.
He had retired by then. He became chief in 2005 and then went off in 2007. The spec was changed in 2004. The deal was signed in 2010. So poor man doesn't come into it at all. But everybody is going to town, dragging him.
Okay.
I'll just
Yes,
take
you
10
want to
seconds.
respond, and I have to go to other guests.
I'm just responding because Brijesh Mishra and the NDA government was brought into the fore. Let me put the matter into perspective by stating that Brijesh Mishra only noted on the file that why only one company should be filing the tender. Let's have such specifications so that multiple tendering can be done.
The spec was dropped. Means the same thing.
But the spec was dropped during the next government, which followed, that is the UPA.
The
but that is not important at all. That is not important at all.
Okay, let us get
because
to
we have to go to the CAG report, which was
Ajay
released
Prasad,
in
the former
2013,
defense
and the
secretary.
CAG report in fact indicts them.
No, Ajay Prasad is the former defense secretary, is here. Mr. Prasad, how do you react to this? You know, I remember I was watching the program which we had done on this subject about 3 years back, in fact, you know, where you were of the opinion that cancellation of this deal was necessary because, you know, there are certain things which had come out in the open. Now, how do you look at this following all the revelations now?
That's right. So I would only, you see, I'm also basing my comments on the media reports that have come in the last few days. I have no access to any other privileged information.
Right.
But I can say one thing, that the reference has been made to the NDA government and Mr. Brijesh Mishra.
Right.
I was the defense secretary at
Exactly.
that time. I was defense secretary up to June 2004.
Right.
I remember Mr. Brijesh Mishra having said that why are we getting into a single vendor situation? And why this unrealistic kind of a height has been fixed. So that was his comment. And the specs, he did change the specs. Now after that, it was the air headquarters and others who were the buyers of this. They went into this whole thing and the specs was changed from 6,000 meters to 4,500 meters. After that, as we know that again the specs were changed in 2008 and the deal was signed in 2010. Once in 2013, questions were being raised about this deal, and talk about money having changed hands in this deal came, the government decided to cancel the order. And this is what you referred to, the program we did
Right.
3 years back,
Right.
in which I had also said that the deal should be cancelled.
Right.
So the deal was cancelled, and the security money that was paid to Finmechanica was recovered.
Recovered.
Today again, there was also a talk at that time that the company has been blacklisted.
Right.
Today, from the television reports or some channel, I find that the Raksha Mantri has made a reference about the blacklisting of this company.
Right.
I am not aware what was the exact position, whether it was blacklisted or not blacklisted.
So you were, sir.
Let me just come
Yeah.
to the current situation.
Right.
I will like to make only one comment.
Yes.
And that is that this time the speculation that is going on is not based on media reports or evidence of by the middlemen, etc. For whatever reason, an appellate court in Italy has chosen fit
Right.
to take cognizance of these matters,
Right.
and based on this has decided to convict
Right.
Finmechanica executives.
Right.
Now, as Mr. Guruswamy was saying, the company executives may have stolen the money. Maybe. You can't rule out that possibility. But whatever it is, the money was taken out of Finmechanica. The executives have been convicted for bribe giving. So, the inference is that there should be bribe takers.
That's
If there are
right.
bribe givers, there should have been bribe takers. Now, who they are, what the investigation will reveal, what the final court order, which promises to be brought out in next week or so, will reveal. I think we'll have to wait for
Okay.
that.
Okay. Prashant, is, how do you look at this legally when you look at the order of the Italian court, which of course none of us are privy to as far as its translation is concerned. It's 225 pages. I'll come to you, Mohan. But in terms of legalities, the bribe giver has been found. Now bribe taker, is that where, and who is going to find out who has been the bribe taker? Does it have to be the CBI? Does it have to be the Indian establishment?
Yeah, once the Italian appellate court has held that bribes were paid in this particular deal, then prima facie that has to be taken very seriously. Of course, I'm not saying that the appellate court in Italy cannot be wrong, or that it's impossible for people to have siphoned out, these middlemen to have siphoned out the money themselves without having paid the bribes to anybody. All that is within the realms of possibility, but prima facie it does appear that the Italian court, after assessing the entire evidence, reached the conclusion that bribes were paid in this deal.
Right.
If bribes were paid in this deal, obviously they have to be paid to somebody on the Indian end who was in charge or who was dealing with procurement. Now, what Sambit mentioned about the references to Signora Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi, etc., in those letters of Christian Michael, to my mind, that's not a piece of evidence on which you can reach a conclusion that bribes have been paid to Sonia Gandhi, because that only says that a middleman was saying that Sonia Gandhi is the driving force who may decide as to whether these particular helicopters should be purchased or not. Now, firstly, that person, that middleman, may be mistaken about her being the person who will decide about these helicopters. He might be saying it only on the basis that she was the driving force of the UPA government.
Right.
Secondly, even if she is the driving force behind the purchase of these helicopters, etc., that still does not mean that bribes have been paid to her. Therefore, to make this leap that prima facie this court judgment shows that she has been paid bribes, this is to my mind, totally unjustified.
Okay.
However, the CAG report pointed out several problems with this particular deal, and therefore this is certainly a deal which needs to be thoroughly investigated by the CBI, which is supposed to be investigating it. It needs to speed up its investigations. If they need some information from Italy, they should go to Italy and get that information. But this is a matter which certainly needs a thorough investigation.
Okay. Okay.
Can I just come in because
Yes.
some questions have been raised? I mean, Prashant was right in certain because he has a legal mind and he was looking through a legal angle. Look, if the evidences would have been so stark and so evident as if it were a sting operation, Sonia Gandhi receiving money, then naturally we would not have been debating today. In legal conjunctures, certain things lead to the other things. In the sense, Mr. Prashant rightly pointed out.
You are completely depending upon
Can I just complete?
notes which have been
Sir, can I
given
just
by...
can I
Yes.
just complete and thereafter you can
Yes.
interject? Number one, he was absolutely right in stating that, well, yes, bribes were given in India because that's what the inference corollary of the judgment is, bribes were given. And bribes have to be given to the people who are in control of the situation, or else how else can you see that the
Again,
deal passes?
conjecture.
And no, not conjecture, sir.
And
Sir,
right,
sir, sir,
no,
sir.
I agree with your conjecture.
Sir,
You
can
know,
I complete,
it has
sir?
to be.
Sir, look, there's too much of coincidence in the judgment. Bribe has to be paid to the driving
don't know
forces.
what the exact judgment is. That's the whole problem.
So if there's no exact judgment, why are we discussing the whole thing today?
Because the
Why
BJP
are we?
Because you
raising the
people
issue.
raised the
Because
issue.
BJP
We're
is
trying to
raising the
find out
issue
what it is.
shamelessly.
No,
Yes,
you,
Mohan.
if you,
One second.
if you say that's rumor mongering, would you say that most
We have
of
not,
the...
I have not used the word, you are using the word.
No, if you say it's conjuncture, most of these newspapers who have in fact direct references to the page numbers and the translations, do you think these national newspapers of India are falsely translating all this? I would not say that.
I don't want to get into that, this thing. Mohan,
Look, there is one fact that this
money,
money was paid. To this Christian Michel
right,
and his father.
right.
Now this matter
And the other person.
and the other
Two
and that
person who has been-
Hashke, Gyurga
yes,
Hashke.
Hashke.
This was a huge amount of money.
Yes.
330 crores
Yes.
360 crores.
was paid. 360 crores was paid to them. Okay. Now this is a lot of money. So obviously some money filtered into India. We don't know what proportion, but obviously some money would have been spent in India also. There is no doubt about it. That we have to investigate. The conjecture part is, to saying that, that Sinora Gandhi, therefore it's conjecture. Now, I'll come to this again. Prashant will also corroborate me on this. In the Jain Hawala case, Justice Shamim said that the diary entry of this man Jain, who was making the Hawala payments, cannot be used as evidence because it is only a sheet of paper in a book.
All of us make notes.
All of us make notes. Does not mean this means that and that means this. So it has no
Evidentiary
value at all.
value.
So similarly, the same BJP should be using that
That's
judgment.
not quite correct. Huh?
Okay.
I'll come to you, Prashant.
Now, to say that this note, he might have, who he gave the note to, we don't know. But I think the tools of government are with the BJP. CBI is there, Enforcement Directorate is there. Now that money should be investigated and tracked decisively, firmly, which I suspect is not being done. In the last 2 years, nothing has happened.
That's the point.
No.
Last 2 years,
It's
why
absolutely wrong
has
when you
it?
say that nothing has happened in the last 2 years. Let me just remind you as to what has happened.
What has
There
happened?
was an instance. I'll give you an example as to what changed. There was an instance when the CBI in this particular case wanted to interrogate Mr. Wangchu, who was a governor, and as well as Mr. M.K. Narayanan, who was the then NSA. But Kapil Sibal had said that no, I would not grant sanction because they're under immunity. When we came into governance, when we formed the government, we gave the sanction. Please go ahead. We will not stand in the way of justice being delivered. So these two people were questioned.
Two
and
people
today,
have been questioned in the last 2 years.
it's not just two people, sir. Today you would have gone through most of the newspapers carrying what the CBI head has said today. The CBI head has said now that most of the papers pertaining to it are with us.
Okay.
We are submitting those to the court and court will take a decision.
Okay.
I come back to his entire premise of debate on your show has been what the newspaper said, not one matter, not one line of fact. But what the fact is this, that Augusta Westland could only qualify in 2004 when the PMO of Vajpayee ji, 2002, when the PMO of Vajpayee ji interfered and got the specs changed. Now, what the specs were changed was is for whatever reasons is a different story. But the specs were changed when Brijesh Mishra interfered. PMO does not get into buying aircrafts. Point number 2 is it is that allowed Augusta.
By the PM.
Yeah, fair enough. So it is that is when Augusta Westland came in. The fact number 2 is the UPA government cancelled the contract, got the money back, went to Milan court. The fact is their government has allowed Augusta Westland with Tata to do a collaboration and bid for Make in India. This is recorded statements. They can now go about saying it is backlisted, but this is a fact that is on paper. Unlike his conjuncture, the fact of the matter is that in 2 years, 2 people have been questioned. Nothing has happened. The fact is Christian Michaels. Sir, 1 second,
That's
please.
not a fact.
I never interfered.
Please.
The fact is Christian Michaels written to the Prime Minister repeatedly that he would like to cooperate with the CBI and the ED. Nothing's moved on that front.
Okay.
And the Italian Marines is a question that keeps coming up because the Prime Minister's then as Chief Minister's stand was the Italian Marines should be kept in India. Today the government of India has done a U-turn and that coincides with what Mr. Christian
The
Michaels
government
said.
does not take a Supreme Court. It's with the Supreme Court, sir.
Okay, let us leave it at that.
Supreme Court, the government just,
The AG
it
allowed
is the
them-
Supreme Court which
Please do not-
allows, by
Tehsin,
the
let us
way.
not
Let us be on
let-
facts out
yes.
here. The AG in the Supreme Court allowed for the Marines to go. This is again
does
a
the
matter
Marine
of fact.
come into
unlike
this?
it.
I'll tell you
because
something.
the Marines, because this is a quid pro quo.
Let
you
us not
the
get
Marines
into
go,
that. We don't have time for
and
that.
therefore
So,
you
Mr.
can have
Ajay Prasad,
allegations made.
Mr. Ajay Prasad, the fact is that the deal was cancelled. The money, that integrity pact was, brought in. The money was brought back. Whatever India had paid, I am told that even a little more in terms of penalties have been recovered. In this context, should this whole issue be closed now, or you think that there is still issues which needs to be looked into?
No, certainly not. I don't think this issue can be closed at this stage. There is an investigation going on. The CBI has been investigating the matter. We understand from the media reports that CBI is said to be near filing its papers in the court. So I think the investigation must go on. In fact, I would say that it should be speeded up from the pace that it has been going on in the last few years.
Okay.
So there is no question of closure at this stage. The
Okay.
matter should be brought to a finality.
Okay.
Once the judgment of the Italian appellate court is available and the CBI's final investigation is also available.
Okay.
So I think that is the logical way in which this matter should proceed.
Okay. Prashant, very quickly, last words to you. You wanted to respond to what as far as the evidentiary value of some of these notes are concerned.
Yeah, you see, the diary it's not that diary has no evidentiary value. It's just that merely on the basis of the evidence of a diary, you cannot convict a person. In the Hawala case, what went wrong was that the CBI did not further investigate the assets of the public servants who were named in that diary as having received substantial sums of money. If they had investigated those and found them in possession of disproportionate assets, that would have corroborated the contents of the diary.
Okay.
In this case, this note that Christian Michael has written, that to my mind does not have much value,
Okay.
hardly has any value, because that is a general note
Christian
saying
Michael
that
denies writing the
Mrs.
note.
Gandhi is supposed to be the driver, etc.
Okay.
That certainly cannot be used to point fingers at Sonia Gandhi at this stage.
Okay.
Just
But-
one
but
quick
I
point.
tell
Just
you
one quick point. Christian Michael denies writing that note, and
Okay.
why is he not being
But
investigated?
question which all will still remain is why is in all these deals there are people like Christian Michael, Hindu.
That's a large. That's a large. That's
we
a
have to
problem.
deal with
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
That is the
That's a
problem.
larger issue which we'll have to deal with. But we'll have to wait for this judgment of the order of the Italian court to be translated, and then maybe we'll have to again have a relook at this what the whole thing is about. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture same time tomorrow.